Okay, so welcome to our little keyword video here. What I'm going to do here is just specifically go into explaining how to interpret the keyword data and use it and move forward with your keyword data once you've done the work to gather the competition, the all-in title, and um, the demand, which is your monthly searches. Okay, so that the research you're going to do, you'll pull the demand down. The average monthly searches, that's just going to come from Google. And so that's given to us from Google right away. And we're going to have a demand number for every keyword. So that's the first thing to recognize is understand this is your demand. This is the number of people searching for that keyword. So there's 70 people a month on average that are actually typing in two-person emergency kit, just like that, exactly as it's outlined right there. Okay, so that's an exact match number of searches averaged over a 12-month period. So then the next thing you're going to do is do the all-in title research. The all-in title is our competition. The competition is how many pages are out there using that keyword in their meta title. In other words, they are targeting that word to try and get the search engines to recognize them for that phrase. Okay, now there's more than just meta title to optimize a page. We've got the meta title, we've got alt tags, we've got header tags, we've got content. There are other things that go into this, but all-in title is one easy metric that we can look at, and that's a good enough one for us to see. We don't have to see everything that's happening on all those pages. If they are using two-person emergency kit in their meta title, chances are good that they're using it in other parts of their pages, or at least a good number of these competitors are. Okay, there are going to be plenty of them who aren't, and that's good because if we go in and put this keyword in all of the right places on our site, then we're going to be way above, maybe 600 of these guys real quick, and then it's just battling it out with the top 88 after that. So how do we interpret the keyword data? That's the first thing that we want to look at here. So that's the start of this, is to recognize first that average monthly searches is our demand. That's how many people are looking for that particular phrase. Okay. The second is how to apply it to the site. So let's first clarify this. So we've got demand. We know this is how many people are searching. So 72-hour kit, 2,900 searches a month. That's a lot more searches than this one here. And so that might make us think, well, gosh, I want to go after that key phrase first. But then that's not the whole picture. We've got our competition, right? And so the competition, we have to look at that and recognize, well, this one only has 688 pages to compete with, where this one has 4,660 pages to compete with. Okay? And so this one is probably going to take us a bit more work and effort to rank for that phrase than this phrase up here. And so that's the first part of understanding this data, is recognizing all-in title is our competition. Okay, and we could even put that in here, maybe up at the front. Competition, see if I can spell it. So competition slash all-in title really is what that should be. Okay, and then this is our average monthly searches slash, and we could leave that exact match in there, slash demand. So that's our demand number. Okay, so that's the first thing to understand. So the next thing that we look at then, we know where our demand and our competition come in. So now we look at this and say, okay, which would I rather target? And that's going to bring in other variables. So that's where we get into, we'll talk about this, how to apply to site later on. Actually, we're going to put that down here. So we've got to understand the keywords first. So nested keywords is important here. So here we have a nested keyword, two-person emergency kits. Okay, that's one, we're going to call the number a word. So 1, 2, 3, 4 words, and incidentally that indicates a long tail keyword phrase. A long tail keyword phrase generally is that's a term applied to a phrase that has 3 or more words in the phrase. So 72-hour emergency survival kits, that's 5 words in the phrase. That is a long tail keyword phrase. Okay? So long tail keyword phrase, and generally if you have a long tail keyword phrase, it's also going to be a nested keyword phrase. So the nested keyword phrase means within this phrase, 2-person emergency kits, we also have the phrase emergency kit, emergency kits, person emergency kits, and person emergency kit, 2-person emergency kit, and 2-person emergency kits. All of those are potential phrases that people might type in. And so that's phrases within a phrase, nested keyword phrase. Okay, think of a Russian doll, the nesting dolls. In fact, let's pull up a picture of it just to look at it real quick here so you can kind of get the idea. Russian nesting doll. So if we look at images of Russian nesting dolls, it's a doll within a doll. This one goes within that one, this one goes within that one, this one goes inside that one, and this one goes inside this one. As you open them up, we've got dolls within the doll, right? And so the same kind of thing happens with our keyword phrases here. We've got phrases nested within other phrases. So if we come down here and look at 72-hour emergency survival kits, we have 72-hour kit, 72-hour kits, 72-hour emergency kit, 72-hour emergency kits, 72-hour emergency survival kit, and 72-hour emergency survival kits. So what is that? 6 phrases within that phrase or more. So we've got several potential phrases that we're optimizing for if we use the long tail version of this. Not only that, but notice that the singular is nested within the plural. And that's the case every time. So anytime we are optimizing for a phrase, it's always most beneficial to optimize for the plural when it makes sense rather than the singular, because the plural contains the singular. Now, use that rule within, with caution. That within reason, that's okay. If we go look at a website here, and let's just pull up. So if we pull up the survival website here, if we look at emergency kits, for example, and we come into let's look at the water. Okay, so Wise Fire pouches in a box, boil 60 cups of water, and so I'm not clear what this product is. It looks like it's a fire starter. Okay, so these are fire starter products. So since this is a case of fire starters, it would be okay to use a plural term of emergency fire starters. But if we were selling just one item, if it were just a single item like this one here, fuel source, we're not going to say fuel sources, right? Maybe this is a bad example. Let's go to water filtration. So here we've got one water filter. So for this product, we are optimizing. The key phrase used here is Ketadine personal pocket water filter. And personal pocket water filter is the primary key phrase we're targeting here. So we're not going to put S on the end of that and use filters on this, because it's not plural. It's not more than one. It's just one singular item. So when you're looking at an individual product, then that's the one time where you would not use the S on your keyword phrase. Okay? But if we're looking at a category, survival food packages or survival food systems or survival food kits, we're going to use plural there. Emergency kits, it's going to be plural. Water filters, it's going to be plural. See, portable water filters is what this page was optimized for. And so that's plural. And within that plural, we have the singular version of the key phrase. Okay? So that clarifies how to understand some of these basics. Our all-in title is competition. The average monthly is demand. We want some demand. We want low competition. We don't need a specific ratio between those two. You just look at whatever your list says, and if you've got a list here where you have 50 words that have under 1,000 all in title, then those might be the ones that you would want to target first, as long as they had some decent demand. Now, preferably, we'd want to see several hundred demand. You know, this is a really good one here, 72-hour emergency kit. If that has 720 searches per month, and I would expect those phrases, I would double check those, because I would expect those to have more search volume than that. So I would double check that. But you know, if we've got 700 searches a month and only 1,000 or a little over 1,000 all in title, well, that's a pretty good phrase to target. That won't be too hard, too difficult to work with. Okay, so you just look at your list, your phrases. We're not looking for any specific ratio. Just understand we need some demand, but we want the lower competition numbers we can get. And then we basically from there, we're going to assign the phrases to our products. And so you'll go through and look at your products on your site and say, okay, I've got this pocket micro filter from Katadyn. I've got this Seachel water filtration bottle. I've got the emergency fuel kits. I've got the survival food kits. So each of these pages, each one of these products, as well as each of these categories, needs to have one primary key phrase attached to it. And so I've got to take this product and go in and find the best phrase for the one-person emergency survival kit. And so if I have somebody searching for one-person emergency survival kit, then that would be a good phrase to put in there. If I don't have a phrase like that in my list already, let's go search for it and see if there is demand for that phrase and if there are similar phrases that we could use, and establish which one we're going to use for that product. Okay, and then we would come into our list and say, okay, so I've got this, and maybe we're going to add a phrase. Let's just say that we found one here for one-person emergency survival kits or kit. Okay, and we get our demand for it and everything, and we do our all-in title, and we find, yeah, okay, that phrase does have demand. The all-in title isn't astronomical. It's not, you know, 12,000 or 30,000 or something. It's doable. Okay, so then we go over here and maybe make a column for page, and we say this is going to go to this page, and we could copy the link to it, or we could just take the title of the product, the code for the product, whatever it is, whatever you need to use, it doesn't matter, something that will identify this phrase goes with this product, okay, or page. And then we do that for every one of our products and pages so that we now we know which key phrase we're going to use for that page. Then we can move on to the step of how to apply it to our site. And for that, there's going to be other videos that will go into detail, but basically that comes down to meta tags, alt tags, H1 tags, all of those are, and then content. Those are the main areas where we are going to assign that key phrase. And so that same key phrase needs to show up, oh, and then also in the URL. So that same key phrase needs to show up in the URL, in the content of the page, in our H1 tag or header tag. A header tag, just so that you can see what that is all about. Let's see. So this is our header tag for this page, portable water filters. Okay, it's in the URL up here, portable water filters. It's in the header tag. It's in our content. So it's throughout the page wherever it needs to be. Now, with a category page, you're not necessarily going to have images on the category page. You could put images down in here if you wanted, and then you could assign it to an alt tag as well. The other tags that are talked about here are the meta tags. Meta tags are found in the back end of the builder. It's in the code of the site. It's not something that we see on the site, but it's right in here. We have the meta content type, This is our meta title. So there's our meta title tag with portable water filters. We have a meta description tag, which isn't looked at anymore for page optimization, nor is the meta keywords tag looked at for page optimization. So really the only one that is pertinent here is the meta title, but we generally want to use the same keyword in the meta description tag, even though the search engines don't look at it for optimization. That just brings some uniformity to our search results. When somebody does a search on this, I'll show you what it looks like and where those show up. So we do a search for portable water filters. This right here is our meta tag. So this moosejaw.com, they're using portable water filters as the first part of their meta title. This is the meta title tag. This black text right here would be the meta description tag. Okay? So that's where those are seen by people. Most of the time they aren't. So you don't see this. If we go to that page, you're not going to see portable water filters and the other stuff that was in the meta tag. You're not going to see that on the page. It shows up here in the tab, and you can see it pop up there in that little yellow pop-up. That's our meta title. But people aren't going to see it when they're on the page. The only place your viewers will see that is in search results. Okay, so having portable water filters in the meta title is good for SEO. Having it down here in the meta description is good for consistency for the person viewing it. Even though the search engines don't look at this to determine the relevancy of the page, the viewers who are looking at the search results are going to see it here, then they're going to see it here. That reemphasizes to them this page is relevant to what I'm looking for. Okay. So if you go to the training site and for the webinars and click on the marketing section, right down here in the marketing section, look for this how to optimize your page top to bottom. That will show you where to put your key phrase throughout the page of your site. So you'll have instructions there to guide you right through it, so you know where to put it in the meta title, the meta description, the content, alt tags, header tags. That should describe all of that for you. And lays it out real good. Okay. So to finalize this video, so one thing that I mentioned here was this, how the meta title shows up there at the top. That's not important for our viewers. They're not going to look for that. They don't care that that's up there. But if we don't put it in there, the search engines aren't going to see us as relevant, and they will never see the page. So it's important to get them to the page, regardless of whether they're going to see it or not. Okay. And then to the question of what is a URL, the URL is this right here. It's the address of the page. That's a URL. The actual definition of what that abbreviation stands for has been long lost in history to most of us. I have looked it up a few times, however, and what it stands for is Universal Resource Locator. That is from the way back origins of the internet, when they were developing the ability for computers to communicate one with another and developing that filing system that eventually became the internet that we have today. That is a term that they used. They needed some way to locate the different documents that they wanted to connect to, and so they called it a Universal Resource Locator. And that has now evolved into, it's either going to be a address, a web address like this, or a IP address, which the IP address is like this right here. This is the IP address of this computer, okay? And so that's a web address as well. That's a URL. A URL is a Universal Resource Locator that just locates a piece of content on the internet, generally called an address, a web address, okay?